Hi, my name is Tony George. I'm a Wheeling Woodworker. In this video, I'm going to show how to make a scarf joint. Basically, I'm going to stretch a board. I'm going to take two boards, splice them together with long grain exposure. In the boat building industry years ago, they used to do a scarf joint so that you could join the length of two lengths of the board. Most woodworkers know that end grain doesn't have much strength, whereas side grain glue, you have quite a bit of strength. So to make a scarf joint, you have to have something to cut an angle. And what I've done here, I've taken a piece of plywood, put a simple runner on the bottom, and then I attached it with screws, and just took this piece of 2x2, and I just set it on there. I said, that looks pretty good to me. I didn't actually measure this or anything. This is something I just put together. And then what I did is I glued and screwed it. And then I took it and I trimmed it. So what I did this morning was I took a piece of wood just to kind of explain the process of how to set this up. And why do I want to show you this process? Because this is a great opportunity to make a crosscut sled for your table saw. Now, a crosscut sled, it's square across the back, sets in the miter grooves. You got double runners of hardwood that were glued in, and I'll explain how I did these. This is a real handy thing. This one I would attribute to David Marks from Woodworks. David is a very, very good master cabinet maker and furniture maker out of Northern California. When I had my accident, one of the new shows on TV was Woodworks with David Marks. One of the things that impressed me was the crosscut sled, because you can keep your hands away from it, you can clamp things to it. This is a very, very nice tool to have. After I built my crosscut sled, I made a kitchen countertop for myself out of wood. Well, it was like a lot longer than the material that I had, so I needed to make scarf joints, and this is the sled that I made. So, like I said, I put a runner on the bottom, indiscriminate angle on the side, and then I would clamp down my stock with a Jorgensen clamp. And you can see where in places it got a little bit close and I ran the blade into it. This is not a full through cut. This is as long as you cut the material, and I'm going to explain and show how to do that. So what I have a very simple, this is sitting here, but it hits my blade. And this, I want this to overhang. I want this to hit the blade, because I'll do this. I can always do a double angle on the other side. So if I don't want this angle, I have something I can always put another piece on, and I can turn this around so that I'm coming from two directions. So I have two different angles on one sled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this, and then I'll just get a piece of board and I'll lay it on there. I'm not going to glue it up or anything. And then I'm going to show how this scarf sled works. So I'm going to put my earmuffs on, save my ears. Then what I would do is I would take a piece of wood, set it on here somewhere, whatever angle you want. That angle is up to you, of course. The longer the angle, the better it is, but then the longer your sled you need, the less of an angle. And this piece of wood, I would just glue it in place, and I would have it quite tall. Have it tall enough that you can get your clamps on it to hold your wood before you go through your blade. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of pieces of wood. These pieces are a couple of pieces of scrap cherry that I had laying around. They got some sapwood, that's why they weren't used in a specific project. I'm going to do a scarf cut on these. I'm going to show how I would clamp these and glue them together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to clamp this in, and then I'm going to show how to cut it. So I always kind of think of where am I going to make my joints. You've got to look at your material and read into your material to see what you want to do. But right, basically, you set this in place. You got to make sure that you're past your back far enough so that you don't run into your clamps like I have. These clamps are relatively inexpensive, but why ruin your tools? So I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to clamp this up. And the nice thing about this, once you got it clamped in place, it's fixed pretty good. You can lock these in real good. I have this piece clamped in. This piece could be very long. This is a demonstration, so this is a short piece. But one nice thing about this, if I have a very, very long piece, is I can pick the whole thing right up, set it in the groove, and then push it through. Even back here, I still have that opportunity to do that. So that's the way I'm going to show how I did this, because if you have an 8-foot long piece, your balance point is going to be back here at 3 or 4 foot. So, I can turn my saw on, got my earmuffs, protect my ears. Now what I'll do is I'll change out the other board, take off my clamp, but I get quite a long scarf joint. It's 5 inches. That's a 3/4 inch board. So that's quite a good scarf. Most of the time the thing is how do you match it? So what I'm going to do is take another board, same material, same length, go back in here. This is a pretty simple process once you get set up for it. Protect my ears again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, I'm going to lay it on top of this piece here with a piece of paper in between so I don't glue the boards together. And that's so it doesn't slip. In the scarf joint, there's a possibility that it might slide apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor my piece, put glue on it, and then set the other piece in, anchor that, and then clamp the two together. One of the nice things about this lower board is that you can take and keep it straight. This will help you to determine the length, make sure that it's straight. You can eyeball it. A laser is a straight thing. A white receptor, your eye, is a straight thing. You see in a straight line. Okay? Just taking a piece of newspaper, newsprint, put it underneath so that I don't get any glue on my bottom piece. When I clamp this in, this is not to clamp it to the other piece. I don't need to crush it. It's just so it doesn't slide apart from the scarf. So I'm going to apply glue on just 1/2. I'm going to make it quite thick. This can be done with a router too. You can take and make a sloped router so you can have a scarf system with a router. But this works for me. Yes, I usually use small flux brushes, but for this I'm just going to use my finger. Flip it over, get it where I like it. Then I take another clamp and I want to clamp the backside. This is so it doesn't slip apart, so I can maintain what I want to plane down. You can put a collar on top of this to compress that, and that's not a bad idea. But basically, this is how I would do this. And then this way here, I can make my boards as long as I need to. So if you're making a bar top that's 20 foot long, it's very difficult to find 20 foot long pieces of lumber. So a simple scarf joint, such as this, works quite well. This can also be used, this is used in the boat industry. You put a collar on top of here so you get full compression. I would put another clamp on this, but for demonstration purposes, there you go. Have a good day.